Hi, YouTube friends. I'm Megan, and I've got Milo and Leela here today. And I'm not sure what AI is going to tell me I should title this one so you all find it. Usually the word hamstrings is a grabber, but I'm going to unofficially call it How to Love Your Hamstrings. Because your hamstrings, like any part of your body, if they're grumpy, are not a problem to be solved. They want to be moved through their range of motion and they want to be loved emotionally. So that's what this practice is about. And we're going to do a number of different things. You'll want to have a strap for some static stretches. You'll also want to have a block and a couple of different balls. And we're going to get started doing some movement to find them and feel where they are. So starting out on your back side, place your feet on the floor first and let your hips relax into the ground. Let your head relax. And then bring just your right leg into your body. Just let it hang. I'm not using my arms. I'm just going to let it fall into my body. And feel the way your whole body is supported. If you'd rather take your left leg into extension to get a little stretch to the top of the thigh, that's up to you. But we want to focus on the right leg. Just letting the weight of the thigh bone fall towards your body. And then as you feel ready, on an inhalation, you're going to begin to straighten your knee and reach the foot up towards the sky. So there's our hamstrings. Notice I'm going to let it fall back on the exhalation. But as I inhale, I'm taking the leg forward because I want to go fully into extension of the knee. If I stay here and try to extend it, it's not going to happen. So I'm here and I'm going to extend even if I take the leg further forward. And exhale and drop it down. And just be playful, be curious. Is there tightness back there? So I can tell you that in most of my work, when people have hamstrings problems, first of all, they're not the cause of back pain. But the problem is not that they're too tight, it's that they're too weak. We want to wake them up. So just starting to feel the movement of the hamstrings. Can you feel a little stretch as you extend? And then release. Just that right leg. And then you're going to take the next one up into the extension. And we just want to connect the hamstrings to the foot. So while the leg is extended, still not using my arms, I'm using my muscles. Feel the thigh bone fall right into your hip. Just play with moving your toes and your ankle. You should be feeling muscles in your shin and calf now, but maybe feel a little something in your hamstrings. Move your ankle in any playful way that you want to. Just a nice, easy start out stretch here for the hamstrings. And we'll let that leg come down. Now we're going to roll onto our left side. Take your time. Feel free to use a pillow under your head. I'm going to use my arm. Just let your legs stack. Take a moment to land on your left side. So let your body receive the support of the ground on the left side. And then just noticing your right side, particularly your hip and your leg. And now we want to connect the hamstrings to the hip. So placing your right hand on your hip, imagine just stirring your hip around. So start to make circles. It might be jumpy or sticky in certain places, but just circle it around. Wake up the hip a little bit. So we got the knee below the hamstrings, the hip above. And you got three hamstrings in between there. And you're just defining the joints that the hamstrings help to move. You can roll that hip in both directions. And let it rest. So wherever you want to leave that bottom leg, do. But you're going to take your top leg and lift it up. And take the heel so it's at the height of the hip. Now we're going to move through flexion and extension of the hamstrings. So if you start to bring that leg forward with the knee straight, or if you want to bend the knee, it'll still work, but less engagement. Bring the leg forward and notice how you feel a little stretch in the hamstrings. And then take it back to that center position. And then take the leg back and notice if you can feel the hamstrings tighten along with the gluteal muscles. You can touch them, they're yours. And then take it so the foot is even with the hip again. So taking your time, coming forward. If you want to do it to your breath, I like to do the effort on the inhalation. Come back. And then go into hip extension. Notice if those hamstrings come alive to help you bring your hip back. And pause. So this is the movement of walking. The hip stays still, and the movement is from the hip crease. So think of this like your hamstrings are like your hand, opening and closing, stretching as the leg comes forward, coming back to a more neutral position, and then shortening as the leg goes back. And check to see, one of the compensations is we'll bend the knee. So you want to keep that leg straight, push through your heel, but plug your thigh bone into your hip. So you just play with this range of motion here. And if you want to feel a little bit different line in the hamstrings, because remember, you got 3 muscles there, you can turn your toes slightly downward. Try that a few times. You might also think about externally rotating your hip, turning your toes upward. Does that feel different? But focusing on the hamstrings. I like to call them the semi-sisters. Get the semi-tendinosis and semi-membranosis back there. Just call them the semi-sisters. And then also your biceps femoris. They have lovely names. All right, let's let that come down and relax for a moment. And I invite you to come back onto your back. And just feel yourself on the back body resting. Let the legs go long and just notice the way that the legs are hitting the ground. It might feel like one leg is more fatigued or heavier or lighter. Especially notice the hamstrings. Does it feel like there's more space between the hip and the knee in one side or the other? And just more awareness of the back and the front of one thigh than the other. And then doing the other side, place your feet on the ground. Pause for a moment. Check to see you're letting your body relax. So that means the face and the jaw are soft. Sometimes when we hold tension in one part of our body and we start to release it, it'll transfer somewhere else. And then left leg. Bring that leg in. Just let it fall towards your body. Don't force it. Don't use your hands. Just let it come in. You'll feel that compression in the front of the hip there. Notice when you're breathing in, and on your next breath in, begin to extend through your knee. Take your heel up towards the sky. Push through your heel just a little bit. You'll get more action in the hamstrings. So if you're too far back here, you're not going to be able to straighten that knee and you'll get less action in the hamstrings. So even if you have to reach forward a little bit, and then as you breathe out, bend the knee and bring it back. If you want to get a little stretch through the front of the right thigh, you can extend that leg. But you're inhaling into extension, push through the heel. Exhale, relax. Notice as you extend, you make space in the back of the knee as you stretch those hamstrings. Exhale, release. Just let the leg fall. This is my knee that likes to make a little music. So, just like I said, you got to love it all. Not a problem to be fixed, just part of my well-used body. And you can go into your extension the next time. Feel those hamstrings between the knee and the hip. Maybe play with moving your toes, moving your ankle. And see what you feel in your lower leg, but also all the way up into your upper leg, into the thigh. let that leg come down and relax. And now we'll be rolling onto the right side of the body. Take your time. Feel free to bring your pillow or blanket for your head if you'd like. Letting your legs just stack. Settle in on your right side. No effort. Let your right side body feel the ground. And bring your awareness into your left side. Feel your left hip and just start to make some circles. So just defining the joint above and below the hamstrings. We bent through the knee. Now you're focusing on moving from the hip. Like you're stirring your hip. Invite you to go both directions. And slow down if it feels jumpy or sticky. And then adjust your bottom leg just so you don't feel tippy, so the left hip is sitting on top of the right. Lift that left leg up and push through the heel a little bit, but draw the arch of the foot towards the spine, towards your nose. So your leg is active. Plug your thigh bone in, and you'll start to even there feel the muscles in your thigh, and bring the leg forward as you breathe in. Feel that little stretch through the hamstrings, similar to when we were extending the leg up. Bring it back to heel even with your hip, as if you were standing on your leg. And then inhale, take it behind you. Feel the hamstrings engage and shorten. And exhale, release. So just coming forward, taking them through the range of motion. Think of your hamstrings long and short. Keeping the knee as straight as you can. And the hamstrings are good buddies with your gluteal muscles and your buttocks. So you might notice if those are responding as well, tightening as the leg goes back, and stretching as the leg comes forward. Sometimes I'll put my hand on my hip just to make sure it's not my hip moving. I'm moving from the hip crease where the leg comes into the hip. It's soothing and sweet. If you want to find a little bit different line in your hamstrings, you can turn your toes down and come forward. Oh yeah, that's a whole different deal for me. I found it. So when you find those interesting spots, just notice what you say to yourself. You can also turn your toes upward and see how that feels through the back of the thigh. And we're not just isolating the hamstrings. That's really important to recognize. Yes, you're going to feel your hip muscles. They all have to work together. We can't just pull out one muscle or one set of muscles. We have to feel the whole. And then let that leg come down and relax. Roll onto your back again for a moment. Let yourself rest. Legs long. Feel the length of both legs. All right, and then to do this next part, I'll ask you to come up to seated initially, but you're welcome to do it reclining once you see what we're doing. This is where we're going to grab a block, and I've got 3 different balls. I've got a big fat one that's soft, I've got a regular tennis ball, and then a tennis ball size that's a little more cushy. I like to use different balls. Let's see, this time we'll do the left leg first, and you're going to take the block and put it somewhere underneath the left thigh towards the knee to start. And then you're going to take whichever ball you want to start with. So usually the bigger ball, the more forgiving, the smaller. So you could take even really small balls. I don't advise like golf balls or anything. That really gets in there. But we're going to just do a nice little myofascial release. So I'm going to start with a bigger ball, put it right to the back of the thigh, and just gently roll side to side. So this one's not doing a lot, but I'm still sensing where the hamstrings are. I can almost imagine where the 3 strips, some come into the few to the outer knee, a few to the inner knee, one to the inner knee. I'm just rocking it. And I'm going to go with something a little bit more in your face. So I'm going to go with a harder, smaller ball. And I can go across the muscles again. I can also go the length of the muscle fibers like this. So all of this, you can continue to sit, taking your hands behind you, but you could also come down to the ground and do it. Sometimes I really like this. The key is to make sure your heel is on the ground, that you're not holding your leg. You don't have to tighten the quadricep muscles. So just let those hamstrings feel the ball in a way that you're not trying to brace yourself or protect yourself. Sometimes when you find those parts that are places that are a little bit less comfortable, you can just be still. And you can start to work your way up. Maybe right in the center, in the belly of the hamstrings, whichever ball you've chosen. There is a style that we do in myofascial where if you do lift your leg up purposely though and push through the heel and engage the quadriceps, so the front of the thigh, that is another way to work with them, is to engage the opposing muscle. So that would be the top of the thigh, and then get that ball in there. So you could try that too. I do like to do that in the middle a little bit. I generally do myofascial, not so much for the release, but to help me to locate where they are and to know what's going on. The idea is to not overstimulate the nervous system, to keep yourself relaxed as you're doing this. So you can keep moving up to different places, or maybe you're staying seated. I'm going to come a little higher even now. Going across, back and forth. And if you find the sensitive spot like I did, I say it's a little bit like working with snarls. If you ever have knots in your hair, you don't go straight for the knot and pull it. So you can go to the side of the knot, above or below it, and just hang out there. See if you can relax the weight of the thigh and the leg, and breathe. You might do one more up. We've got 2 more spots we're going to do right at the joint, but right now we're on the muscle tissue right in the middle somewhere. Just the right amount of compression. Think of rolling across those 3 bands, maybe up and down. And then this next one, you may want to come up to a seated position. From a seated position, we're going to map out where the hamstrings attach to the knee joint and to our pelvis. So we're going to start with the back of the knee. And if you take a ball the size of a tennis ball, we're going to put it right in the back of the knee and get it way up in there. Place that left foot, I'm doing left leg first, place left foot on the ground, and just place the foot on the ground and maybe slightly take your hands and pull your shin in. See if you can locate that space. You'll feel the area right in the back of the kneecap, and you might feel it the top of the calf too. So 2 of your hamstrings come into your tibia, the semi-sisters, and the other comes into the fibula. But just think of that space in the back of the knee, especially above the knee. Can you feel that? And sometimes I have to get that ball right in the right spot, just the right amount of pressure, drawing that leg in, the shin in. You should feel some decompression too in your left knee. That's usually nice. But right at that space where the hamstrings come into your beautiful knee joint. We're here, we're going to hang out with it. We're going to give it lots of happy wishes. All the things that our knees do for us and all the ways that the hamstrings help the knees to move and stabilize them. You might want to slightly switch the position of the ball, switch the angle. Do it again. And see, I like to rock a little bit. But just use the ball to locate the space at the bottom of the hamstrings where they come into the knee. It's nice for your knee joint anyhow to create some space around the kneecap. And then we'll release that. Notice how it feels. And then we're going to find the hamstrings on that left side at the top. So where the hamstrings come into your pelvis. And they come into your sits bones, your ischial tuberosity. So you're going to take the ball and you can feel right in there and put it right underneath the bony part. So your sits bone's like a rocking horse on that left side. You're going to put it to the outer side of that rocking horse between that sits bone and your thigh. Usually you can feel right in there. You got your trochanter. Just feel the bony areas and not on the bone, not on the ridge of the bone itself. That probably won't feel so good. And if it is too much, use a softer ball. But you want to just locate that. You'll know because a lot of times this is an area that can be very sensitive. So if you do have any sort of very common in yoga for yogis to have what we call high hamstring tendinopathy. We also call it yoga butt, where these tendons are very, very uncomfortable. So tendinopathy, we want to leave it alone. But if you don't have that, just explore this top area. Feel where your hamstrings come into your pelvis. You can see I'm just gently making side to side and circular motions, almost like if I were a top moving. You can change the ball. I also like to take the thigh and roll it inward a little bit. That's going to create more space between that sits bone and the thigh bone, your femur. So you can get it right in there. You should still be able to smile though. I like knowing this area too, because if you do a lot of yoga and you're overdoing the forward folds, the stretching of the hamstrings, you're going to know it because this is going to be very sensitive. So we don't want to have that sensitivity. We don't want to be overstretching the hamstrings all the time. Just take a few more moments on that left side. And then you can take the ball out. And we did the left leg. We did the myofascial to the back of the hamstrings themselves. And then the attachment points. And so now I invite you to come back onto your back again. Just let both legs go long. And just notice. Notice whatever you feel in your left thigh, your right thigh, from the knee through the hip, or anywhere else in your body. Is that left side more available to you? Is it more prominent in your mind's eye? Does it feel different? We'll be doing the right side now with the myofascial. So there's a lot of up and down today. So you may want to come up to seated. Grab whatever ball you're going to start with. So I've got the big fat ball. If I want to go easy, I'm actually going to go right into the tennis ball. I do this quite a bit, so I know I like the tennis ball. But you're going to start more towards the knee, the bottom of the hamstrings. put the ball on the block and just let it fall perhaps first. Let your leg fall. You can rock side to side. You can stay in that seated position or you can lie back. And side to side across the muscles, back and forth along the muscles. This is one of those practices that I say interesting to myself a lot. A lot of interesting sensations in the back, particularly this side. This is my tight side. And you can continue to take that block slowly. So it's at your pace, wherever you want to be, but slowly up the back of the hamstrings. So I just moved it up just slightly. I'm going to lie back. Let the heel be heavy. Remembering the idea is to ease your nervous system. So if you feel yourself tightening your face, your shoulders, you know you're overdoing it. I'm going to move mine more into the belly of the hamstrings, right in the center. My joke used to be there's an inch between heaven and hell. Sometimes with this, it's more like a half an inch, maybe a centimeter. So find that good spot. It doesn't have to be the area that's most sensitive. Just knock on the neighbor's door instead. If you want to use that contraction, the contraction action, you could lift your foot, engage the front of the thigh, the quadriceps, and then go into the hamstrings again. So those opposing muscles. Always check in with not only your face, but your breath. Is your breath still soft and relaxed? Now I'm going to continue my journey upward. Do one more position on the backs of the hamstrings. But if you find one spot and just want to stay there, do that. Can you use the ball to keep your awareness in the back of the right thigh? And then what do you say to the back of the right thigh? Boring is okay. I'm always grateful for when it's boring and there's not a lot of sensation. I'm going to finish mine by just sitting up and kind of running the length of the hamstrings more. I like to do that too. You can go more to the outside, to the inside. All right. And then say thank you to the back of the right thigh. We'll go in now with the ball. So into the knee, finding the where the bottom of the hamstrings land to help move our knee. Take the ball, put it in the back of the knee joint, right between, you'll feel the tendons. Place your foot on the ground and then slightly take your hands and pull your shin in just a little bit to start. Feel that decompression in the kneecap. And I like to just move my legs side to side, back and forth. This is nice too because you get a good feeling for the calf, the top of the calf. You get a little release on that as well. Feel the bottom of the hamstrings where they come into your knee, supporting your knee, mobilizing your knee. That's the perfect marriage, mobility and stability. You can slightly change the angle of the ball or where it's resting in your knee. I also find that if I move my toes and my ankle, that creates more sensation in there. reminding me that everything is connected. An opportunity to show some gratitude to your right knee. We'll take that ball out. We'll go into the top of the hamstrings where they attach the attachment point. So you want to feel in there right where your sits bone is. You can rock back and forth or side to side. You'll feel that bone on the ground, and it's long like the bottom of a rocking chair, and you want to go to the outside, not right on that runner of the rocking chair, but to the outside. And you might roll your thigh bone in a little bit. I can find just that right spot. The more you do this, the more familiar you'll be with it. And it is a good check to make sure you're not overdoing your hamstring stretches. So there was a time in my life where if I would do this, I was extremely sensitive because I didn't know better and thought it was really fun to put my nose to the floor in forward folds. I don't have to do that anymore, nor can I. So you're checking for sensitivity, but you're also getting to know these attachment points of the hamstrings into your beautiful pelvic bowl. All that stability they provide to move your pelvis, moving your legs, the timing of the leg moving kept in your torso. You can change that just a little bit if you want. Again, internally rotate the thigh. Find that space between your sits bone. You can feel that. And right in the thigh there. So not on the bones, but between them. You're also getting the top of your psoas. That's a little bonus there. Excuse me, the bottom of your psoas. You get a little relaxed. The bone that's right on the inside there is your lesser trochanter, and that is where the psoas attaches. So they're good friends in there. Get to know them. All right, we'll remove that. Say thank you to your right sits bone, the side of the pelvis. It's a nice one too to help you to remember when you're sitting to stay on those sits bones, not to fall back into your sacrum, so we can land and locate where they are when we're sitting. Going back, our final act in this show today, we'll want to have the strap. Placing the feet on the ground for a moment, just letting yourself settle into the ground once again. And we're going to do a hamstring stretch, but we're going to be active, meaning that opposing muscles, the quadriceps, we want to engage them. So this is not a yin stretch. We're going to keep some activation in the muscles. So to do that, take the strap. We'll start with the left leg, place it across the heel, and then cross the strap in the front of the shin. It just gives it a little more support. Reach that leg forward and push the heel into the strap. Notice when you push, that's going to help to engage the muscles. You can also push the ball of the foot. So the more I push the ball of the foot, I'm going to feel my quadriceps engaged too in the front of the thigh. And notice this also gives me the option to get my knee straight. If I'm back here, I won't be able to do that. So I want to get the knee straight. And then like I'm reeling in a big fish, I'm going to begin to slowly bring that up. You can stop anywhere you want. You're pushing the heel into the strap. Think of plugging your thigh bone into your hips. So check to see the hips are even. We're not pulling that left hip up. Your pelvis is balanced. And just keep bringing it in a little at a time. If you want to stretch the front of the right thigh, you can also extend that leg, but focus on the back of the hamstrings here. So if this just pulled your low back, like it did for me, place that foot on the ground. So we do not need to touch our toes to our nose. We just want to feel that the back of the thigh is stretching. Now you can feel into the back of the knee, maybe where they attach in that sits bone. but you've got some stability going on in that the front of the thigh, the quadricep muscles are engaged to support the stretch of the hamstrings. And just sitting with it and being with it. I do like to make just small circles, just feeling different lines in the hamstrings, but still pushing the heel into the strap, the ball of the foot towards the ceiling. And notice as you move the leg how you can feel different lines in the hamstrings. So we are stretching them, but we're stretching them with activation in the muscles. Making sure that there's something protecting the joints. Some other muscles are engaged so the back of the hamstrings can stretch. See if you can breathe right into the back of the thigh. Or just even imagine the back of the thigh is breathing. Creating space. From the back of the knee right into that left sits bone. Last 3 breaths. And then slowly releasing, you can bend your knee. Take that strap off. Maybe take both legs out long and just pause and notice. Feel your left leg, your right leg, and is there any change? Change in the length, the weight, your ability to be present in one or the other. Let your legs have a little conversation with each other. Placing the feet back on the ground with the knees bent. I'll take the strap and put it around the heel. And what I notice too is all of this, I feel calmer and calmer. And that's really the way I like to work with hamstrings. Place that strap again on the heel bone. Cross it in front of your shin. Reach forward until you're not hyper extending your knee. You want to keep a soft bend in it, but you can get that knee straight. And then start to reel in that big fish. Little at a time, bring it in. You'll know if you're going too far because you'll stop breathing. You'll tighten your face. You'll tighten your shoulders. Option to extend the opposite leg. For me right now, I just want to focus on the hamstrings, so I'm going to stay right here. Picture where they attach. The fancy words, the origin and the insertion. Who cares what they're called? Feel what they feel like in your knee and in your inner thigh. Check to see you've got space in that right hip crease. You can make little circles or go side to side. Go really slow. Notice the change and where you feel the stretch in the back of the thigh. So we recognize that we are stretching the hamstrings, but they're long and slightly engaged. So not completely passive. Safer for the joints. See if it feels safe for you. And little movements with awareness. Take your last few breaths. Breathe into the right thigh. You might even notice that one side is tighter than the other. And you can bend your knee, take the strap off. Let your leg come down. And we'll finish just by letting ourselves rest. Legs long if it's comfortable. You can bend your knees. And since the unofficial title is Love Up Your Hamstrings, just take this time in your Shavasana to be present in the back of your thighs. If they're not touching the ground, you could put a folded blanket or a block or something underneath them so that they feel supported. Sometimes I do just a little block back there so they get to feel the earth too. And keeping your presence in your awareness in the space from the back of the knees to the inner thighs. Let your thighs breathe. Stay here for as long as you'd like. It's important to just rest. When you're ready to come up, you might wiggle your toes. I also like to just jelly roll the legs a little bit side to side or bounce the knees like basketballs. Play helps to encourage that gratitude. And come up however you'd like. Stay there. Leave me a comment. Let me know if your hamstrings feel happier today as you walk around, or that you just have more awareness of them, more gratitude for them. Peace, joy, love, and light.